We have a couple of people still joining us, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us today. Again, my name is Kevin Kaiser. I'm the Director of Marketing at SOLOMO Technology. I believe that folks might be unmuted, so feel free to ask questions as we're going through. Hopefully we'll have some good questions and have a little fun today. So to kind of get started, we have some folks calling in, so I'm going to do a little quick SOLOMO overview, and then by the time everyone's on, we'll jump right into it. Briefly, SOLOMO Technology. SOLOMO stands for Social, Local, and Mobile, kind of combining all the trends of our time into one, and we'll talk about how our platform fits into those different buckets as we go forwards. And then our second intro slide here, just so everyone is aware, SOLOMO Technology focuses on 3 different areas, and we're going to talk about one of those today. Smart locations, that's what our platform is focused on, and what we'll talk about today. Smart apps, what SOLOMO does is allows applications to become location aware by delivering different contextual technology so that people can engage with their surroundings. So we enable current apps, and we'll talk about this in a second, where all these different branded apps are exploding in the marketplaces, and we plug into those apps to make them location aware. And then finally, smart services. So we have a talented team of developers, project managers, program managers that are able to dig in and help clients through the adoption of smart locations and smart apps. So overall, we do those 3 things, and today we're going to talk more about smart locations. So a quick kind of agenda for today. We'll roll through a fast market overview, talk a little bit about the explosion of analytics and engagement, and really put our stake in the ground as it relates to smart locations. We'll jump into our live demonstration, and I'll go through the platform and the dashboards, and we'll talk a little bit about the analytics and engagement possibilities. And then we have a few industry examples, but hopefully that can be more of a discussion and throw around some ideas on how the platform can be used in different industries, and then additional questions at the end. And then lastly, we've connected with a number of you via Twitter. So if you would like to post some tweets throughout the call today, you can use our handle, which is SLM_technology. And then we'll also have some kind of tweet-worthy stats as we go along. So this one, to start us off, 84% of smart device owners use their mobile phones while shopping, which is a pretty outstanding number. And as we'll talk about in a second, the percentage of smart locations is very low, and that's why we're here having this discussion today. So, like I said, we're going to jump into the quick market overview. We really have 4 quick slides, and this first one really focuses on location intelligence analytics and the growth that is projected over the next several years. So within the concept of smart locations, we really break that into 2 areas, analytics and engagement. And on the analytics side, that is the Google Analytics for the physical space. It's being able to monitor and manage the location to realize visits, unique visitors, paths of travel, all these different analytic metrics that we're able to compare then to other business dashboards or business reports to understand more about the organization and make strategic business decisions. So what this graph is really showing us is the current rate of adoption and the expected rate of adoption for purely those analytic technologies for the physical space. And this is from ABI Research, and we've also been in contact with Gartner and others, and all of their viewpoints are projecting this and we've already seen this to date with different pieces in the news of different organizations adopting the analytic technologies. And like I mentioned, there are two sides to this coin. First is analytics, the second is mobile engagement. So this is kind of the backside of that coin that describes the growth and expected growth of mobile engagement. And just a quick note, this is really what the Apple iBeacon is focused on. So delivering the ability to bring content to a mobile device and have the user engage with content throughout their surroundings. The two areas that we really focus on are the analytics and then this mobile engagement, which has really taken a big jump over the past couple months and continues to evolve. And we're really excited about it, and we have some examples of that today. So tying both of those together, the analytics and the mobile engagement, we like to look at that as this concept of smart location intelligence. On the left-hand side, we have all these smart consumers that 84% of them are using their device while shopping. And on the other side, we have all these locations where less than 2% of them have adopted smart location technology to be able to engage with those consumers. So this is where we really put our stake in the ground and are fighting to help any organization experience and realize the cool things that can be done with the analytics and the engagement technologies. And like our little tweet-worthy stat here, of all smart locations right now, so 90% are retail. So of the less than 2% that are smart, 90% of those are retail, and growth is coming across industries. And that's what we're really focused on and excited about, is working in a variety of different industries. And in the conversations that I've been having with folks in healthcare and entertainment and hospitality and even the local governments, the ideas that they have on how the technology can be applied is really neat, and we're excited to be involved in those. And we'll talk more about those in a little while. So to bring all of this kind of full circle, smart location, it really can be used for anything. It's connecting people and things to drive productivity in the business, improve customer satisfaction, and even make money. We'll talk about additional revenue streams and kind of give examples of how we've seen businesses start using the content that's available in the engagement scenarios as an additional revenue source. So we're really excited about the concept of smart locations and how different organizations are using them to date. So that brings us past our market section and into our smart location platform section. So I just have a few quick slides that sets up the platform, and then we'll jump into the demo right away. So as a whole, we see SOLOMO Exchange, which is the name of our platform, as the focal point for location analytics and mobile engagement, which are the stats that we just covered. And we really like to look at this in two ways, in delivering value for both the consumers and the businesses. And with that, there are three different kind of levels of value. First, there's the anonymous layer, and I think that we'll talk about this on the next slide, so I'm gonna hold off. But what this platform really describes is how a consumer can plug into a branded application. So using our API, the app becomes a smart app, and that app used by the consumer can deliver local engagement and experiences, and also it has a privacy center so that the consumer is in control of their data. And the app plugs into Exchange to give the businesses different analytics and also deliver contextual content to that app no matter where the person is within their location. So this is kind of setting up how the consumer and the app plug into the platform, and the businesses plug in the content and the analytics, and that's all driven through the location, which is also plugged into the platform. And the outcomes of this whole interaction and usage of the platform is delivery of the multiple levels of value. And we like to look at this in 3 ways. So first, going top to bottom, there's this anonymous layer. So for the consumer does not have to take any action. All they have to do is have their Wi-Fi on their device. And through this, we're able to deliver anonymous analytics to the businesses or organizations. So like I mentioned, that's the traffic analytics, the heat maps, the dwell times, which we'll take a look at today. And then moving down the ladder, as the consumer checks into the branded application, they're able to realize kind of localized content and localized offers where they are. And that's where some of those engagement scenarios will come into play, which we'll talk about. And the businesses then receive that two-way permission dialogue, which is a pretty neat concept to have that okay to have a conversation, an ongoing conversation as someone is moving around a specific location. And then finally, our third level of signed in, this is where the consumer is permissioning or saying it's okay to use certain types of information that they have inside of the app. Maybe that's demographic information as well as their checked-in location information. And that gives the business permission to deliver personal messages or personal content to that consumer based on all of the information that they have permissioned to that brand. And really our goal here at Solomo is to provide this trusted platform where businesses and consumers can have a dialogue back and forth in a permissioned way and enhance the experience for both of those groups. And then our tweet-worthy section here, smart location platforms must deliver 2 promises, sensor agnostic and business and consumer value. So how we do this, which I think I'm going to talk about right now, is being sensor agnostic. So from a technology perspective, there are a lot of different things, sensors, pieces of technology that make this happen. And across the market right now, a lot of different businesses are using 1 or 2 of these types of things. And we really pride ourselves on being able to plug into a variety of different sensors to make the experience what it should be for the consumer and for the organization. So mixing Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and RFID, GPS, all of these different things together, depending on where the person is and how they're engaging, delivers the ultimate value. And lastly, then, kind of another really important piece of that is our API package. And what this allows us to do is connect the app to the platform, as well as get creative with other applications that we're plugging in. And if you want to learn more about our APIs, we can have a separate conversation with our product guys who are very knowledgeable on all this good stuff. So that kind of brings us through kind of the introduction, and now I'm going to jump over to our dashboard and start walking through our platform. All right. So like I mentioned before, Solomo's smart location platform is called Solomo Exchange. Right when you log into Solomo Exchange, you'll notice that there are going to be 3 different areas. The first is Solomo Geo, which is our analytics platform. The second is Offers, which is the engagement or content. And then the third are resources where you can set up roles and permissions for the organization. I'm going to jump into SOLOMO Geo, which is going to walk us through the location summary and some of those analytics that we mentioned are taking off in the market. So when you log in, the first thing that you'll notice is the menu on the left-hand side, and the 4 dashboards that I'm going to talk through are going to be the location summary, engagement, real-time, and audience behavior. Within the location summary, we get a really nice view of the different statistics within our office location. So this is set up for our office here in Madison, Wisconsin. You'll notice that we can adjust different types of locations. So if we had multiple locations, we could have that in there. Time frames for whatever it is, and we can build. We can have custom time frames in here as well, and then filters. So filters is pretty interesting. We could filter out employees versus visitors, or we could filter out different types of devices. So this is a really, really neat feature for events, for example, where they could have all of the event employees or event exhibitors be featured in one graph as well, and then visitors be in another, or attendees be in another. So it's a good way to distinguish your data from each other. So I just adjusted their time frame here for 7 days, and I'm sure that you can pick out to know when the weekend is over the past 7 days. So it's kind of a really cool thing to be able to just look at this snapshot and get a good understanding of traffic flow within particular businesses. Again, visits, average visit duration, unique visitors. Each of these, even very simple data that you would get on your website, visitors versus unique visitors, you're able to understand, your loyalty, if this was an organization, or how frequently we have new prospects, for example, come into our office. So even these high-level stats that are very familiar to us in the digital world now give us a whole new meaning within our physical space, which is pretty neat. And then lastly, in our overview here, we have our visitor types. So as we talked about the 3 different levels of anonymous, checked in, and signed in, you'd get a very good representation of how many visitors you have that are engaging more with you as they move in and check in and signed in within each locations. Onto our engagement platform, I'm going to take a drink of water here. So the engagement section is really focused on showing us how long people are within a particular area and what they're doing while they're standing in that particular region or area. So we've broken our office up into different departments similar to a retail outlet. So we have the children's, women's, men's departments, and this is telling us overall region visits for our different departments and how long people are staying in those different departments. So this is kind of an interesting thing that we have the most region visits at our children's department, but the longest region or visit durations in our men's department. So we'd be able to kind of dig into that to understand, well, why are people trafficking our children's department more but spending more time or the most time in our men's department? And then this is another graphical example of the duration or how long people are staying in a particular area, and then how frequently they are coming or trafficking the different areas. So different graphical examples of similar data so that we're able to compare, again, the overall engagement that someone is having within a particular area. And we've seen this drive a lot of different kind of setups, displays, things of that nature that allow people to engage or dwell within a region for a longer period of time. and that can also be used for, so example, events. How long is someone standing in front of a particular exhibit, and then delivering content while they're there, so the analytics can drive engagement, which is kind of neat. So our next dashboard is our real-time. So this is telling us currently who is active inside of our office and who is active just outside of our office. So we're able to tell all of the different devices depending on the timestamps here, and each of these time frequencies can be adjusted. So if we wanted to have them be every minute, every 30 seconds, or every half an hour, we could do that as well. And then this is showing us a heat map of our office location and the different BLE beacons that we have for engagement touch points. So what this is really telling us is how long people are standing, or their duration within a particular time. So we can tell just quickly where the hot spots literally are within our office, and then we set up these different engagement points. So someone could walk up to the engagement points and receive content or receive offers depending on which touch point they go to. So it's a good mixture of the overall analytics in a heat map form and then showing your engagement touch points within a given location. And then lastly, our audience behavior section. So again, these are going to give us a few different types of heat maps. The first is on overall dwell or duration within a particular location. So very similar to that heat that we just saw in the last section. And then this is similar but a little bit different, where it's telling us the overall density of the duration that people are spending. And this, getting to the bottom here, this is one of my favorite sections and can be used in a number of different ways. But what this is telling us is the movement that people are taking as they are traveling through our office. So for example, we have 300 visitors that have come through the SOLOMO office, and then these next sections are telling us where those 300 visitors went after entering our location. So 176 of the 301 went to the children's department, 69 of them went to the men's department, and 57 went to the women's department. But it doesn't stop there. It tells us then, after they went to the men's department, where did they go? So we have 36 that dropped off. This is kind of like a bounce rate on your website, while we had 24 that continued on or back out to the SOLOMO visitors, kind of like our main lobby. So this is kind of cool. It's able to show us where people are going and traveling through any given location. So that wraps up the overall analytics section. I do want to spend a moment in our offers section. And now what we're doing is we're jumping from the location analytics into the mobile engagement portion of the platform. And this is pretty neat because there are very few organizations, because all this technology is so new, that combines kind of this Bluetooth engagement with overall analytics that can be driven through Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or RFID. So within our offers section, we have different types of campaigns. I set up a campaign for myself here and a few different types of content. We're talking with a zoo, so that's why you see birds and giraffes and big cats. So I can click into my specific campaign, which I have running for the month of May. and this gives me an overall summary for that campaign. So I'm able to see how many people saw my content, and then how many click-throughs I actually have. So it's kind of cool to see that I have more click-throughs and impressions, which means that I have the same people coming back and reopening the different types of content. And then to give you an example of how one would set up these new offers, it's a pretty quick 3-step process. So I called this our Big Cats. Welcome to the Big Cat exhibit. So when someone walks into the Big Cat exhibit, they would get this notification on their phone. For this particular example, we set up kind of some fun questions. So which cat is the biggest species in the cat family? And when they hit a button, it will give them the answer, which the answer is the tigers. You can kind of simply set up the different types of content that you want to have delivered. You choose any tags that you want to be associated, which is a pretty neat feature, and then your date range, and you publish it, and kind of away you go. It's automatically published to the technology, and it will work right away as you're walking around. So a pretty simple and really effective way to communicate content to different folks, and all of that rolls up into campaigns, so you're able to see metrics and tie everything together. I personally I love that from a marketing perspective, being able to reuse content, video files, audio files, images that we're already creating for other marketing purposes. Now we're able to reuse that through our mobile strategy, which is delivered through the Exchange platform. So overall, that wraps up the different portions of the live demo. I do have now examples of different industries that we can talk about. So this will be, we'll roll through a couple of different industry examples, and then I'll open it up for questions, and we can have a good dialogue. This is a quick snapshot of our 3 different levels, and then I have a couple slides on healthcare, entertainment, airlines, events that we can kind of touch on. So the first one here is for our healthcare. We've been talking to a lot of different healthcare providers, as well as their insurance providing friends, and even fitness organizations, and they're really excited about plugging in indoor maps for the hospital, for example, and being able to route patients and doctors to different locations, sending real-time alerts to staff depending on who's nearest to an emergency situation. And then a last kind of neat example, a lot of folks spend time in a waiting room, so being able to send updates on how long the doctor will be with different patients, as well as patient education, so being able to send kind of knowledge transfer content while people are hanging out in a waiting room, or turning their waiting room time into more of an engaging experience, particularly for family members that are along with a loved one, and they're kind of hanging out. On to entertainment. This is an example of someone getting to their seat early for the game. Tip-off hasn't started, so you can reward them for getting there early with a quick offer to the concession stands. And that's a really simple example, but a fun one. And we've also had really great conversations around concession stand lines, so being able to look and see how many people are in line for different concession stands, finding their seats, as well as lead generation for merchandise. All of that can be tied into the app and the location. And kind of a last thought is, a lot of stadiums have all their kind of championships or accolades hung around. Some even have museums within them. So being able to deliver content specifically about those accolades right to the phone as someone is standing in front of it all of that's possible, and can really turn looking at a glass case with trophies in it into a very neat experience. Our airline example, very similar to healthcare, just a different venue where you're able to, instead of communicating with doctors and nurses, you're able to communicate with your crew members depending on where they are in the airport. Other neat things that we've seen, being able to track priority passengers and have the priority passenger notify the gate agents, hey, I'm stuck in security or I'm running late. It would be I know that we've all had kind of hectic travel experiences, I'm sure, so being able to communicate with, as a priority passenger, to the gate agents and explaining your situation or where you are would be beyond helpful. So a variety of different ways to use location as between the passenger and the gate agents, as well as to drive store traffic for all of the different businesses in each of the terminals. And then our last example here along event management, I really love the concept of we've done a lot of events here and then in past lives, and being able to drive, kind of turn foot traffic into conversations at booth exhibits. So as someone is walking by an exhibit, they can get a quick notification saying, hey, thanks for stopping by, engage with us in a conversation. Here's a quick stat about our company. There's a lot of different ice-breaking scenarios that can come in handy when you talk about engagement within events. Whenever you're really bringing together a large group of strangers, any type of introductory mechanism or a way to introduce people that don't know each other is a huge benefit. So a lot of different ways to use the engagement capabilities, as well as analyze analytics to measure booth or exhibit traffic, as well as range prices. If you are the event management corporation, you can adjust prices based on foot traffic or location of the exhibits and things like that. So a lot of creative ways that when we're sitting down with those folks, they're really excited about it. So I think that brings us to the end of the slides and the demo. I'm going to open it up for question. We made good time. So I'm going to open up for questions here. I can jump back into the platform if you'd like. We could talk about really any other use cases in industries. We've had some really great conversations with customers in a variety of different industries that we haven't mentioned, like smart buildings. So we could talk more about that. So I believe you can use the chat portion, or we could open up the phone lines as well, and I'm going to try and do that. So if I can't hear anyone now, but if you wanted to use the chat portion, you can do that as well. So I did get something through the chat, and like I said, I mentioned smart buildings before. So building automation, being able to tie traffic and analytics to create action on the building side. If there are a lot of people that are walking through a particular location, being able to adjust some of the utilities and even project utility cost has been a really interesting concept for a lot of those businesses. And some of those are through a lot of our partnerships, which I really haven't touched on. And I know that we have different folks on the call that are are organizations that would use the technology themselves, but we have some on the call that would use them as a partnership in kind of a reseller model. So all of that's possible, and within the building automation section, we have folks that are interested in plugging the platform into their own offering and forming a partnership that way, which is pretty neat. All right. I don't see any more questions right now, so I'm going to give everyone 5 minutes back in their day, and I really appreciate everyone's time. If you have any questions or want us to go into some more detailed different scenarios within certain industries, feel free to connect with us. And I always like to encourage folks to sit down with our product team. I've not worked with a more energetic and knowledgeable group of people, and it's amazing the types of conversations that they have with customers and some of the really neat use cases that come out of that. So we'll be following up with a quick email thanking you, and let us know if we can answer any other questions. So thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your week.